What's up, YouTube? It's your girl Lottie's Creations. I'm back with yet another great tutorial. Tonight I want to share with you how to create a SVG file from any image from the internet. It can be a JPEG, it can be a PNG, and you're going to turn it into an SVG. Let's get started. I have Silhouette Studio open and I'm going to go to File Explorer, and I have an image that I already saved. It is the Daisy Duck PNG from Google. I'm going to go ahead and left click, hold it, and drag it into Silhouette Studio. And then once that image is in Silhouette Studio, I'll go ahead and show you the process to transform it into a SVG file. And the benefit of the SVG is that the layers would allow you to use it for vinyl if you want to create a layered look in using vinyl. Also, if you want to do the larger than matte cutouts, it basically will have the image broken out into layers so that it's easy for you to manipulate it. That file is coming in to Silhouette Studio, and once it's there, I'm going to show you that it is just a PNG file. It's not layered or separated by colors as of yet. So that file has opened up, and if you notice when the PNGs or when the JPEGs come into Silhouette Studio, they have some type of white box or a background around them, and you can see that clearly behind the Daisy Duck. And if I were to right click on this image, you would also see that it doesn't give me the option to ungroup the actual image. That also lets you know that this is not a layered file. So group and ungroup are basically grayed out, meaning this file is not separated into layers. So to separate it into layers, the first thing that you want to do is trace this image. And once you trace it, you're basically going to be able to get all of the individual pieces and colors broken down. So let's go ahead over to the right hand tools panel, and you're going to look for your trace panel, and we're going to go ahead and open that up. Once the trace panel opens, we want to left click, hold down the mouse, and select the entire image to select it. So we're going to hit select trace area. And once you have select traced area selected, you will see like a plus sign on your mouse. So I'm just going to left click, hold the mouse in the gray area, and drag a box around the image and let it go. And it should take a few moments, and you may see the image begin to turn yellow in some areas. And if it does not start to turn yellow, then what we will do is go over in the panel and adjust our threshold. And what that's going to do is allow you to either add to the image that's selected in yellow or take away from the image that's in yellow. The object is to try to get this image traced as clean and clear as possible so that you can see all of the lines and details. Now, I think this one traced out pretty good without me having to really adjust the threshold. If you look at the image, you can clearly see the outline around the image as well as in the inner parts of the image. So what we want to do is choose trace. If you were to say trace outer edge, it would only trace the outside of the image. So you want to make sure you choose trace. And it may take a moment for it to actually trace that image, so we'll give the computer time to actually perform that operation. So while we're just waiting for that, now that the yellow lines are gone, you know that the image is traced. But before we hit OK, the next thing that we need to do is highlight this entire area again and move this background. So I'm just going to move that background out of the way. Okay. Now I like to keep this image here so that I can get an idea of what colors I need to break this image into. Now, if you look at the Daisy Duck itself, you see like a red outline. There's no colors, but everything is just kind of like an outline. And this is what we need to start individually coloring. Right now, this image is grouped together. If you can see, if I click on it and left click and hold my mouse, everything moves together. We need to break it down so every individual piece is by itself. And what we can do is click on the image, do a right click, and choose Release Compound Path. When you hit Release Compound Path, you're going to see several individual pieces break down on your image. Okay, so you'll notice now all these little rectangles and boxes means that this image has been released and each piece stands alone. So this is the most time-consuming part, just going back and grabbing each item and coloring it. So the first thing I'll do is go ahead and just kind of grab the outer edge, which is going to be the black background. So I'll kind of click the edge and I'm going to drag this part away. And if you can see, this is just the outer edge of the Daisy Duck. I'm going to left click on that. And I'm going to go over to my right hand palette and choose the fill panel. This is going to allow me to color this outline. With that outline selected, I know that I'm going to make it black. So I'm going to click on the black square. You see it fills that in black. Okay. The next part I want to break down is just her shoes. Now there's going to be several pieces to the shoe, so you want to make sure you grab each item. I'm going to click the first piece of the shoe. Just do a left click. I'm going to hold down the shift key. Click the outer edge of the other part of her shoe. So you're going to remain holding the shift key until you have all parts of the actual shoe selected. And what I'll do, I kind of like to left click hold and just drag away to see if I have all the pieces. And if you notice, there's still a piece of the shoe left. So I'm going to hit Control Z to undo and go back to my position. And I'm going to grab the other part of that shoe. And in my paint palette, I'm going to grab the eyedropper and click on the shoes so that I can get that pink color and color the shoes pink. And while all of those pieces are still selected, I'm going to right click and hit Group. That is going to make all of the shoes group together as one piece. So when I move it, all of the shoe can now move together as one piece. So the computer is taking a little time to actually render that function. So once that finishes, I'll move those shoes out of the way and that part is now complete. And then we will continue to grab pieces and then color them in, group those together so that they can move as one. Okay, so there is part of her shoes. I grabbed a piece. If you notice that you grab an extra piece, you just want to hit Control Z and take that back to the original position. So if I put the shoes on the black background, you can see that they are one piece. All right, we'll continue to do her legs. Click one piece of the leg, hold down your shift key, grab the other leg, and I'm going to also go ahead and grab her beak because that is also going to be orange. So we hold down the shift key, select all those pieces. In my paint palette, I click on the eyedropper and I'm going to click on the orange of her foot. And then I'm going to also right click and group. And then I'm going to drag those off. Left click, hold down the mouse, drag those off, and drag them over where they belong. And you can see the image is already starting to come together. All right, I'm going to take the white pieces next. So we're going to grab her skirt, hold down the shift key, and grab all the white areas. So that's going to be her skirt, as well as her arms and her hands. So you just want to make sure you're grabbing all of the white areas. Her other part of her arm, her neck, and then her face. And then also inside of her eyes have a white area. So we want to make sure we're grabbing that part as well. And you may have to zoom in to get some of the smaller areas. And that's not an issue. You can always zoom. And you just want to make sure you have all of those areas. So I'm going to go ahead and hit group. And then I'm going to make those white. And if you realize you missed any pieces, you can always go back, hold down the shift key, and then group those together. So I noticed there's a piece here. So I'm going to go in and select that little square. And I'm going to review my image, making sure I have everything. And then I'm going to hit white. And then I'm going to group it yet again. Right click, group. And now if I move that over into position, you can see the white items going in. All right. Now I'm going to go ahead while I'm right here and do her bracelet. I'm going to hold down the shift key, click both pieces, go into my paint palette, click on the eyedropper, click on the bracelet. And then I noticed that I did not get the inner part of the bracelet. So I'll do that part again. Get the paint color, right click on the bracelet, group, and then slide it back into position. All right, we now have her shirt. So I'll click on the shirt, hold down my shift key, and just get all the parts of the shirt. And then there's a little piece here I'm going to get as well. Click on the eyedropper in the paint palette. Click on her shirt. I missed the area, so we're going to select that part again. And click on the purple for the shirt. Right click and group. And then I'll drag that over. Forgot a piece. So what I'll do is go back, Control Z, hold down the shift key, make sure I grab everything. Right click, group. And then drag that over. Put it in position. And that part is coming together pretty good. Okay, still have a few more pieces that we want to grab. I'll go ahead and do the inner part of her mouth or her beak. So I'll just click that one piece. Click on the eyedropper. Click on the darker part. And I don't need to group that with anything because it is by itself. So I'll just grab that. Bring it into position. And then we'll get this inner part, which is also by itself. And then I'll click on this little pink area. Let's click on the pink area again. I may have picked up a little bit of black. Let's just go back. There we go. And then with that small piece, I'll drag it into position as well. And you can use your arrow keys to move it, get it in place if need be. All right, so now I want to do the outer part of the eye. So we'll grab this part and then also this area, and we're going to make that the blue. So we click on the eyedropper, And then we're going to click on the blue area of her eye, right click, group, and we're going to drag those into position as well. Okay. Now we have the purple eyeshadow above her eye. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 little areas. So that's going to be this section, and then this, and then all of these little pieces go together as well. So I'm going to zoom in just a little bit and then move over so that we can see that. Left click, hold down my shift key, just grabbing all of those individual pieces, and then get our eyedropper, and we are going to move over so that we can see the original image. Click on that purple and then come back over, right click, group, and I'm going to zoom out so we can see the piece that we're building upon. Left click, drag those items over into their locations. And I'm going to use my arrow key just to kind of move those where I want them to go. Okay, so it's looking good so far. If you realize that any of your pieces need to be adjusted or moved over, you can definitely do so before you lock it in. The last part looks like her bow. So we'll grab each piece of the bow, hold down shift, and grab those items. And then what I'll do is get the eyedropper, highlight pink, and I forgot a piece in the middle. I'm going to grab that piece, make it pink, right click, and group. So once we have the bow finished, we'll left click, drag it over, and then I'll use my mouse and arrows to get it where it needs to be. I notice my white, just going to drag that over a little bit. Let's see. There we have it. So now we have each individual layer broken down into colors. And again, if I move a piece, you can see that everything has been grouped together based on the colors. So that's going to make it easy for you to layer this image using vinyl or cardstock, etc. One other thing that I want to do, if you notice the lines, the outline is in red, I can left click, highlight everything, and go over to my right hand tools and click on the line. And I'm going to remove the line color by clicking on the line color and say no color. So that means it's going to take away the red outline that was highlighting the edges of the image. So this is my full image now. I can delete the Daisy Duck that we started out with. And what I'll do now is just save this as an SVG. And that's going to save each one of these layers. So anytime I want to come back and open this up, it's already in layers. So I'm going to go File, Save As. I'm going to save to my hard drive. And once my hard drive opens up, there will be an option for me to save this as the SVG output. So it's taking a moment for that to pull up. I'm going to save it back in my folder. Right now it's saving as a Studio 3 file. So I'm going to click on the drop down arrow and I'm going to choose SVG. And I'm going to give it a new name. I'm going to call it Daisy Duck Updated. And then it's going to have the .svg. I hit OK. And then I'm going to also save this image inside of my Silhouette Studio program just in case I need to come in, modify it here. I'm going to go to File, Save As, but this time I'm going to save to my studio library. And I hit Save to the library. It's going to take a moment for my library to open up. I do have a lot of files saved there already. And then once we save it here, that's just going to save it as a studio file inside of the actual application. So again, it's taking a moment for that to load. See it here, Untitled 3. So I'm just going to change this to Daisy Duck Updated. So it's going to be inside of my actual program. I guess I clicked it too many times, so I'm just waiting for that to update. So I'm going to say Daisy Duck Update. And I'm going to keep it as the Studio 3 and hit OK. And then I'm going to close it out, and I'm going to show you what happens when you're ready to now either create a larger than Mac file, or if you want to create a image using vinyl. I'm going to show you how that SVG will then open up. So we're going to wait for that to update. We're going to close out the one that we just created. And that may take a moment for that to register. And then I'm going to go back to File, Open, and we're going to look for the SVG that we just saved. So I know it is in my Mickey Mouse folder. Folder is here. And we called that file Daisy Duck. So we're going to be looking for something called Daisy Duck. It should be in alphabetical order. And here it is right here, Daisy Duck Updated. So I click on that. I hit Open. It's going to take a minute for that SVG to open up. And if we were to click on anything and drag it, you can see that it is layered so that you can color this very easily using vinyl or cardstock. So everything is broken down into layers. And now you have your own SVG file. And again, you can take any image from the internet and break it down in the exact same way. Okay, so I hope you all enjoyed this tutorial. I hope you find it very beneficial. Please hit the like button, add your comments, ask any questions, and most importantly, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, because I will continue to upload silhouette tutorials for you all. And then also hit the bell so that you're notified when I do upload new content. Thank you all for watching. Have a great evening.